PowerPoint should never be used as an editing software. It lacks so many useful tools, and I am certain that I am blissfully unaware of how annoying this is going to be to edit. And just to prove that this is PowerPoint, I'm going to spam the default slide transitions that George Lucas loves so much. I actually have a lot of experience in PowerPoint from elementary school. My school did a lot of presentation assignments, probably because it can fit out a lot of time not only with making the presentations, but showing all of them to the class. That can take up multiple days, and if all the presentations are on the same subject, the students will have no choice but to remember at least something. And of course, PowerPoint was the most popular program for these presentations. And my teachers allowed creativity in how a lot of these assignments were done. And in elementary school, creativity just means one person figures something out and everyone else just shamelessly copies them. But where there's unnecessary innovation, there's unnecessary competition, and my brother and I were committed to outdoing everyone else. From what I remember, the PowerPoint presentation meta progressed from using slide transitions to using text entrance and exit animations to using GIFs to automating the entire presentation. Unfortunately, after elementary school, I didn't have a chance to show off my PowerPoint powers because I have to follow strict presentation guidelines that restrict almost all fun. But I can still make myself suffer needlessly on YouTube. How this is going to work is I'm going to heavily abuse the animation pin, which will allow me to time everything and make it run like an actual video. I've consumed a lot of pizza over the years. It was the lifeblood of the school cafeteria. That being said, I would not accept a transfusion from that cardboard of a pizza. So I'm gonna try to outdo cafeteria pizza on my first attempt, while simultaneously proving that I'm better at making PowerPoints than I was in the 5th grade. This is not the first time I've made a pizza, but this is the first time I'm doing it by myself. My family occasionally made our own pizzas. Although it really was my mom who did everything, I just made a face with the toppings. That also taught us that one way to screw with the food chemistry is to strangely use food coloring. The reason I'm making pizza is because, well, it's good, and I have a bit of yeast left over for when I made my roommate's bread. The thing about making any kind of food with roommates is that it never lasts. I had made another of that amazing jalapeno cheese bread for my sandwich video, and it didn't even make it to the end of the day. I knew going into this I wouldn't get much of the pizza, but I can always make another one. I'm going to be using the bread machine to make the dough because, well, I'm lazy and I want pizza. The machine has its own recipe for pizza dough, and although the cheese bread was a massive disappointment, I've tried some of the other recipes and they've turned out fine. Into the pan, we add warm water and vegetable oil. Then flour, sugar, and salt. We level the dry ingredients as much as we have patience for. And like the cheese bread, we make a small well in the middle for the yeast. We place the pan on the bread maker and use the dough setting, which mixes and rises the dough, but doesn't cook it. After procrastinating on our linear algebra homework, we can take the dough out and put it on a floured cutting board. We then Google how to knead bread and sloppily replicate it for about a minute, then allow the dough to rise for another 15 minutes. We plop the dough onto a regular baking sheet, because a pizza pan wasn't in the budget for this video. We spread the dough out a disappointingly small amount and let it rise for another 25 minutes. We try again at spreading the dough until it triggers our terror of trigonometry. Frisbee that circle on a rectangle into the oven. The oven should be at 491.483 degrees Kelvin, and it should be kept in there for 1.2 times 10 to the power of 12 plus or minus 1.2 times 10 to the power of 11 nanoseconds. We allow the pizza to recover from the surprise stoichiometry quiz for about 5 minutes, and then the pizza is ready for one of my roommates to tell me it needs salt. Now properly seasoned, the pizza is consumed.
Pizza time.
The pizza turned out very well. I especially liked how perfectly I browned the crust. I was a bit worried about the onions, but they cooked nicely along with everything else. The pizza had just the right amount of toppings, and more importantly, didn't remind me of elementary school. Way better than what the underpaid cafeteria workers would care to make. I'm still disappointed that I only got a fourth of it, but I'm definitely gonna make this again. My official rating is 8 out of cosine 7 pi over 6 times negative 20 times root 3 over 3. And now that we are at the end of the video, it's time for future me to complain about how editing this in PowerPoint went. PowerPoint is actually a half-decent editing software. It's not good, but you could definitely do worse. The only real issue is that the audio settings don't really give enough range, so for my background music, I'm gonna have to change the file itself as opposed to just changing the volume in PowerPoint. Everything else just takes a few extra clicks to get something similar to a real editing software. And it's even better in some situations. Like this crashed only once, where Shotcut crashes all the time once the file gets slightly complex. Also, PowerPoint has much better text editing tools than Shotcut. I wouldn't recommend this for larger projects, but I'm still genuinely surprised about how good this was. And regardless of how good my editing software is, it can't cover up the fact that I really don't know how to end this video.